Windsor Gallery was set up in 2022 with our first gallery, which was opened in Abidjan at the Sofitel Ivoire Hotel. Our second location, which we opened in January 2023, was in Abuja, in the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. Our third location that we opened was back in Ivory Coast as well, a place called the Couloir des Arts. Our fourth location, again, in the Ivory Coast, which was Futura, which is a space dedicated to young emerging artists, and our fifth and flagship location in Lagos. Windsor Gallery was set up to really develop an artistic infrastructure across Africa. My sort of perspective has always been that we have a nationalistic view on art, so we do know what's happening in the spaces that we live in, but we don't have a continental regard and a continental sort of overview on artists on the continent. So Windsor Gallery was really sort of built to respond to that reality, with the development of multiple galleries in multiple cities on the continent that creates really an open border dialogue and a cultural referencing that allows us to really enjoy and understand what's happening across borders in Africa. I think today sort of Windsor Gallery is a unique space just basically because it blends sort of the artistic interpretation with interior design. It's for me sort of the new perspective that we should have today on the artistic space and how art is presented endemically on the continent. I think, working with so many different artists and allowing them to develop and present their art in multiple cities at the same time, is something quite unique. To give you an example, we did a expo with Navi, which we've just launched in Abidjan, and at the same time, he's also launching a second expo in Abuja. So again, sort of having access to multiple markets from one point of reference is something that I think is quite unique and what we've been able to achieve at Windsor Gallery. The current exhibition is called The State of Africa, which was somewhat inspired by Martin Meredith's book called The State of Africa, which talks about post-independence Africa. When Africa was sort of conceptualized, pre-independence, there were discussions that we're having, on how we can create a sort of continental sort of understanding of what Africa is. After the, of course, independence that created sort of a fragmented reality with every state becoming independent at different times in the history of Africa. Of course, what happened after that with coups d'etats and everything sort of somewhat changed everyone's sort of overview and perspective and ambition for Africa. So the State of Africa really responds to that, coming back together to that original idea of Africa as one. And so, I selected 7 artists that I feel represents sort of the new way of thinking. Ada Malana, who is a photographer, world-renowned photographer from Ethiopia. Bryce So from the Ivory Coast, who again is a sculptor and a painter. Didier Viode, an Ivorian Beninoise artist. Segeni from Nigeria, who is also a painter. Médéric Touré from Ivory Coast, who is also a painter. Christine Salah from Cameroon, and Pascal Conal, also from the Ivory Coast. I've been working with these artists for a while now, and sort of been seeing sort of their artistic interpretation sort of flourish, and again change the way that we look at the African contemporary art space, change the regard, and sort of modernize that in a way that I think today will best represent Africa and the artistic interpretation that we see on the market. Special thank you to Navi. Thank you so much for passing by and seeing us at the Windsor Gallery today. It's an absolute pleasure.